When you think of 18th century European aristocracy, you probably picture grand ballrooms, elegant silk dresses, and magnificent towering white wigs. It was the golden age of elegance, luxury, and royalty. But behind this beautiful facade lies a truth so repulsive, it will change the way you look at history forever. Those majestic, massive wigs worn by kings, queens, and nobles were not just a fashion statement. They were a ticking biological time bomb. And inside them, right above the heads of the elite, lived active breeding colonies of live mice. Yes, you heard that correctly. The wealthiest people in the world were willingly walking around with rodents nesting in their hair. Here is the dark, forgotten story of history's most disgusting fashion trend. To understand how this nightmare began, we have to look at the Court of Versailles in France. In the 1700s, size mattered. The higher your hair, the closer you were to status, wealth, and power. Women competed fiercely to have the tallest hairstyle, known as the pouf. These hair structures grew so massive, sometimes reaching up to 3 feet high, that women could not even fit into carriages. They literally had to sit on the floor of their coaches or stick their heads out of the windows just to travel. But here was the problem. No human head can grow that much hair naturally. So the elite turned to massive hairpieces made of goat hair, horsehair, or human hair taken from the less fortunate. To create these towering architectural masterpieces, royal hairdressers needed a massive amount of support. Today we use hairspray, but back then, they used something much more dangerous: animal fat and lard. To stick the hair together and keep it rigid, coats of animal fat were heavily applied. Then, to mask the terrible smell of rotting fat, and to get that iconic, pure white look, the wigs were showered in pounds of flour and starch powder. Think about it for a second. Animal fat and flour. To a hungry mouse living in a cold, dirty 18th century palace, a noblewoman's head wasn't a symbol of high fashion. It was an open buffet. Because these wigs took days, sometimes weeks to build, they were almost never taken off. Aristocrats would sleep, eat, and live with these heavy pieces glued to their heads for months at a time. And as they slept in their dim, candlelit bedrooms, the palace mice would climb up the bedposts, attracted by the scent of grease and flour. They would tunnel deep into the layers of the hair, carving out cozy, warm nests. They didn't just eat the flour, they lived there. They laid eggs, gave birth, and raised entire families, right on top of a duchess's scalp. The itching must have been unbearable. But destroying a wig that cost a fortune just because of a few bugs or mice, that was out of the question for high society. So how did they survive this living nightmare? They invented bizarre tools. Wealthy women carried elegant silver and ivory sticks called head scratchers. If a mouse or a flea started biting their scalp in the middle of a royal dinner, they would subtly slide the silver stick into the wig to scratch the itch or crush the intruder. Even worse, bedtime became a battleground. To prevent mice from chewing through their faces or ears while they slept, noble women had to sleep with massive, heavy iron cages placed entirely over their heads. Eventually, the French Revolution and a sudden turn toward hygiene brought an end to this madness. The towering wigs disappeared, leaving behind a shocking historical lesson. The next time you look at a beautiful historic painting of a powdered king or queen, look a little closer at those magnificent white curls. Because beneath the gold, the silk, and the perfume, history was crawling with secrets. What would you do if you found a mouse nesting in your hair? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more forgotten archives of history. Until next time, keep digging deeper.